Happy opening day from the Bay Area Beat. We have a very, very special episode today. I'm joined by my friend Austin, and we talk all things Giants. We first get into the magic of opening day. We then preview the Giants season by giving our hottest takes and boldest predictions, and stay to the end where we recount and share our favorite Giants memory ever. I do want to give everyone a heads up that during the episode, my audio and video went out of sync at some point. It still sounds crisp, but if you see my lips not matching up with the audio, that's why. But enough about technical difficulties. Let's get into it. We got opening day kicking off in just a couple short days. I don't know about you. I'm fired up for this team. I'm fired up. I think opening day is one of the best sports calendar days of the year. I think it should be a holiday. And a little about myself, I feel like I have a special connection to opening day. I grew up going to opening day every year from when I was 9 months old to our junior year of college, when the pandemic unfortunately ended that tradition. I used to go every year with my dad, and I think that kind of just shaped me as a sports fan, as a baseball fan. Baseball was my first love because of all the times I got to go to the park with my dad. I saw the Giants at Candlestick. I saw them through all their name changes from Pac Bell to SBC to AT&T, now Oracle. We used to scalp tickets every year on 3rd and King. My dad would have like a 50 in his hand and wouldn't spend a dime more to get us into the game. It taught me how to scalp tickets, go to games on the cheap, which worked out when we went to Game 6 in Boston. Yeah, I think opening day is one of the best calendar days of the year, particularly for baseball fans. And it certainly helps when your team went 19-6 in spring training, had the best record in spring training, the best run differential, nearly double anyone in baseball. And say what you will about spring training, it's a lot of meaningless games, and those 19 wins are not going to help us in September. But I certainly am excited about this team. What do you think? How are the vibes coming into opening day?
I never thought I would say this, but before this year, I wouldn't really take spring training like too seriously. I mean, it's just
it
practice.
Takes your team to be 19-6 to take it seriously.
Yeah, exactly. 19-6. I'm like, all right, I'm starting to get some better vibes, and it's mostly because the young guys have stepped up in spring training as well. So seeing Matos rake in spring training, I know we'll talk about Encarnacion later. I'm more excited about the Giants after spring training than I have been any month or time leading up to the season.
Yeah, lineup looks incredibly deep. Like you said, with Matos, hopefully we'll get Encarnacion back in a couple short weeks. Rotation, I frankly thought had a lot of question marks. I think they've actually answered a lot of those questions. If Justin Verlander is able to be a middle of the rotation starter at 42 years old, I'll put my hand up and say I was wrong there, and I hope I am wrong. But he's looked great in camp. And then the Giants have had pretty incredible battle for that 5th spot in the rotation, with Hayden Birdsong and Landon Roop looking like they're going to be the finalists for it. And I want to get into Kyle Harrison in a bit, because that was kind of a shock. One of the probably few disappointments of all spring training. A few transaction notes I kind of want to make in points of news heading into opening day. So Jung-Hoo Lee was able to play. He was back in the lineup yesterday against the AAA Sacramento River Cats. He hit a double in his first AB, so he looks back and ready to go and will be healthy come opening day. Gerard Encarnacion, who we just touched on, unfortunately broke his finger, I think, in the last game of spring training. Kind of a freak injury. He was diving for a ball in the outfield. I thought he had won the everyday DH role. I know that Wilmer has been in that role, and I think it's kind of been a hodgepodge of him and Lamont Wade, and I think Matos was going to get to get some ABs there. He's a great story, too. He was playing in Mexico at the start of last year and hit his way through every level from single to double to triple, and then was even in the bigs for a little bit last year. He probably will be only out 4 to 6 weeks with that broken finger. And he's also out of major league options, so I assume that the Giants will do everything in their power to have him on the big league club as soon as he's healthy and ready to go. And I hope he can kind of transition and become that DH. I love Wilmer. He's done a lot of good things as a Giant, but I'm ready for the Wilmer Flores era to be over, personally.
I agree. He's been a good platoon guy for the Giants the last however many years, but I think it's time for someone new. He's getting older. May like to see a guy like Matos step into that DH role, or maybe he can get an outfield or someone else can fill that spot. Hopefully Encarnacion gets healthy. Hopefully we'll see more people besides Wilmer in that DH spot. Don't get me wrong, I've enjoyed seeing Wilmer Flores on the Giants throughout the career, but I'm hoping to see another guy like your Yastrzemski. He's been consistently average, slightly below average. I hope he can have like a year like he had in the COVID year. I think he hit like just under 300. Like probably was the best hitter on that team that year. But hopefully the Giants can manufacture runs with the top 10, in my opinion, rotation in baseball. So I guess we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, I think Wilmer and Yaz and even parts of Lamont Wade, although I have higher expectations for Lamont Wade, kind of fall into that, like, we know who they are category. And I'm just ready for it. We have so many young guys who at least played really well in spring training that I'm hoping, whether it's Matos or Encarnacion, someone's able to step up and get everyday at-bats there. What did you think about the Giants sending Kyle Harrison down to AAA?
Probably wasn't as shocked as you or other Giants fans were. He pitched 6 innings of baseball. He allowed 13 earned runs, so it's like 10.80 ERA. I don't mind the move. I feel like it's good for him to go into AAA, get a few strides under his belt. Maybe later in the year, say if a Birdsong or like Jordan Hicks may not be as good down the line, maybe he can come back. I think it's good for Kyle to get that time in AAA, face those batters, and then kind of regain his control, maintain his poise, so he can be prepared when he enters the big leagues again.
Do you think, you touched on Hicks, do you think his spot is guaranteed? I know that when he signed last year, he got like $10 million a year. Farhan told him that he would be a starter, and I think that's part of the reasons he signed. But Farhan's no longer there. Buster has no obligation to kind of follow Farhan's promise. I hope that we see the Jordan Hicks that we saw the first third of last year when he was carrying the rotation, or him and Logan Webb were easily the 2 best pitchers on the Giants. But if we see more of what we saw the back half of last year, I don't think his spot is completely secure at all, especially with how great Hayden Birdsong and Landon Roop have been this spring training.
Definitely. I mean, with the last month of the year last year, he was a reliever. He pitched 1 or 2 innings a game, and it's going to take a little bit for him to regain that competitive edge in terms of get the bare minimum for 4 or 5 innings pitched. And I think that's the struggle with most former relievers going to the starting rotation, is just managing their velocities, making sure that stays consistent for 80, 90 pitches a game. I would like to see if he does get sent down, or not sent down, but like maybe moves to a relieving role or even AAA. I like to see Landon Roop take over that spot personally. I can also see a guy like Carson Wisnut or someone, potentially if they're doing great in AAA, get that spot as well.
Do you want Landon Roop over Hayden Birdsong?
I like Hayden Birdsong for now. I enjoyed how he pitched last year. I like him a little better than Roop. I think Roop needs to get a few more starts under his belt before he gets back up to the Giants. If he does well enough, or if Jordan Hicks struggles, or Birdsong, or whoever it is, we'll see how Robbie Ray is. Like, he was decent last year when he was playing, but I don't even think his spot is like completely safe at this moment.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Honestly, I thought that Birdsong kind of won the job, or it was his to lose. And I think he might have honestly lost it last night. And granted, it was a exhibition against their AAA team, the River Cats. But Roop came out, he had pitched 5 innings, 8 Ks, 1 hit, 1 walk, gave up 1 run and across the 15 batters he saw. And then Birdsong was the first to relieve him, immediately gave up 3 straight hits, 3 walks, was only able to retire 1 batter, rang up 3 earned runs in the process. And I don't think the order of who pitched first in that game really mattered. I don't think because Roop was the starter guaranteed that he was going to get the job, but I think the results mattered. And I think that was kind of their last debut to show who deserves this 5th spot. And maybe I'm wrong, and I still like Hayden just because I want to say he's younger, and I also think he, like you said, showed some real promise last year as a rookie. But I wouldn't be surprised if Roop won the job strictly from how he pitched yesterday. Do you think they both make the team, if it's Roop or if it's Hayden as the fifth spot and one ends up slotting into a long reliever? Or do you think that they send the other one down to AAA to get the innings as a starter and probably be the first call up, assuming one of the 5 pitchers eventually gets injured?
I like having either Birdsong or Roop just become the fifth starter and sending the other guy down. I personally don't think if you're going to use him as like a middle reliever, you might use him for for an opener, maybe if someone has a day off or something like that in the rotation. But I like sending someone down, Roop or Birdsong, to AAA for the moment being, seeing how Hicks and whoever else is in that rotation do. And if someone gets hurt by chance, unfortunately, then you could bring up that Roop or Birdsong to help accompany the rotation.
I assume the Giants would also want to send one of them down to AAA and just get the innings and get the work and get kind of every fifth start. Would kind of prepare them and what they'd be accustomed to as a starter in the big leagues. One thing that I was reading from Grant Brisbee about Landon Roop that's kind of really made me excited is he's just added a few pitches to his arsenal that he just simply didn't have last year. He was mostly like a curveball sinker guy, really just a 2-pitch guy last year, and he added a cutter in spring training. Guys were hitting $150 on it. He only threw it, I think, 14 times, so it's again a very small sample size. But it's been filthy, particularly against lefties. And I think that's where he struggled last year, was getting lefties out. So I think that would be awesome if adding the pitches to his arsenal really allows him to go deeper in games, not just get the first 9 guys out, but then seeing them 2 or 3 times through the lineup and continuing to kind of surprise them with different pitches.
I feel like that's really important for a 4th or 5th starter in the MLB too. I mean, obviously going as many innings as possible, saving your bullpen. But at the same time, with Roop and his cutter facing lefties, that's going to be huge. Hopefully, I mean, you saw it. He's not this guy, but you saw Mariano break so many lefties' bats in his prime. And hopefully Roop can do the same, force some ground balls, force some broken bats, little flyouts here and there. That's going to be really important, especially like a second or third time going through a lineup.
Yeah, I mean, I said he's got a better cutter. I'm not saying he has a Mariano Rivera level cutter, probably the most unhittable pitch in baseball history. But
who knows?
Who knows?
Hey, you never know.
Right. It's also weird. Like I don't know if you saw, we're playing the Tigers the next couple days in the exhibition series that we've always had, that battle of the Bay Bridge series, always against the A's. I don't know. Is that weird to you? I get that the A's are in Sacramento, but now we're playing the Tigers to start the season in this 2-game exhibition. It just doesn't hit the same.
It's stupid. Whenever the Giants and the A's played right before the year, that kind of signified like the official start of the MLB season, at least for me. It's so sad seeing the A's go to Sacramento. I love them in Oakland. I would go to a few games. Granted, they're cheap tickets. I mean, the ballparks was whatever, but I always enjoyed watching the Giants and the A's play in the exhibition games heading into the year. I know you might have seen John Miller was on the call during one of the spring training games, and he kept calling them the Oakland A's, and he got really frustrated with himself. He's like, it's not the Oakland, it's the Sacramento. He just hated the move. But for me, yeah, it's sad to see the A's.
Everyone does.
Go elsewhere. I don't get why they still don't play each other in those 2 games. They're right there. I mean, that's just easiest for both teams travel-wise heading into opening day.
Yeah, I saw the A's are playing in Chicago the next couple of days as their exhibition, but then they start the season in Seattle. It makes absolutely zero sense. It's also weird that they're going just by the Athletics. They're not going by Sacramento. They're not keeping the Oakland lineage. Like, they're just, if you look at MLB or ESPN, any of these sites, it's like you got everyone's team and where they're from, and it's just, we're the Athletics, and that's that. Certainly sad to see them go. I always loved the annual Bay Bridge series, and we weren't alive for it, but I've certainly watched the 30 for 30 over and over again of the 1989 World Series and the earthquake. So yeah, we probably both know tons of A's fans who feel just completely like they were screwed over. That was their team forever, and Oakland lost 3 professional sports teams in a span of 7 years.
We know Jack. I mean, He's a diehard A's fan. I was talking to him like, so are you going to be rooting for the A's still? He's like, they're gone from Oakland. Like, he's from Concord, and he's loved the A's all through growing up, and he's going to pick a new team to root for. He's absolutely dejected that they're leaving. He went to the last game.
The bandwagon's open.
Yeah.
I'm sure he was rocking black and red 2010, 2012, and 2014 if you look back at old pictures of Jack. We did some betting odds when we were talking Warriors, but looking at the Giants, so their over-under win total is 79.5. I think that's the most mispriced win total across the board. You know, as someone who works in gambling, I've stared at these the last couple of days, and Giants have had 80, 79, and 81 wins the last 3 years. And I think this team is significantly better, and that might just be March talking, and we haven't gotten many injuries yet, and Verlander has yet to kind of go through a 162-game season and whatnot. But the fact that you're putting them online with last year's team that was injury-riddled and didn't have nearly the same talent that they have now, didn't have the additions of Adames, I think is a complete misprice. What do you think? Are you taking that over?
Yeah, I've been monitoring those betting lines as well. I'm a betting man myself, and I'm a little confused by the over 79.5 wins. Granted, everyone needs to stay healthy for over the course of the season, but the Giants have acquired kind of like they haven't had in however long. I say I'm most excited for them this year than I have been since 2021. Although 2021 they won 100 plus games in the regular season, but
who could have seen that though? I mean, that was a special year.
That was crazy. What a crazy year that was. Very unexpected, but yeah.
We were actually together. You probably remember you came out and visited in New York for Game 5 of the NLDS with Wilmer Flores' check swing to send LA to the fucking NLCS. And that was a brutal night too, but luckily we got our redemption a couple months later with the Warriors. So just a few more points on playoffs and stuff. So they're plus 225 to make the playoffs. That's about 31%. Ninth best in the NL. Sportsbooks still see them as a below average team in the National League, which really surprised me. They're below some teams like the Reds, like the Brewers, teams that I think got worse over the offseason. Adames is no longer there. They're 42-1 to win the NL West, which is crazy just to think that in a 5-team division that they could be that low, with the Dodgers being at 88% already while 2 games have been played. They're 46-1 to win the NL as a whole, and then 100-1 even to win the World Series. So what about that ticket? Are you going to purchase that ticket?
I might. I'm not going to go for the NL or World Series, but I will be placing a bet on them making the playoffs. I think it's a really good value at that price to go ahead and hammer that per se. But I like that over on the wins. I think like the Giants are going to get a wild card spot. I mean, Dodgers are kind of head and shoulders right now in that division, obviously. I can see the Padres taking a step back, and the D-backs as well. Since they made the World Series, they're stuck in that like mediocre level. I guess along the same with the Giants as well, but like the D-backs did add Corbin Burns, but not really anyone else per se. And I like the Giants' additions of Adames and Verlander more. So I have them either 2 or 3, depending on how the Padres do. But I like them in the wild card this year, and I love the over on the wins. Those are my 2 favorite Giants bets.
Great. So you got playoffs, you got second or third in division. You see them ahead of San Diego as well?
That's a close one. I don't have an answer for you yet. We'll see how the season plays out, and maybe I'll have a more direct and firm answer.
I think the Padres finish 4th. I don't want to say it's a bold prediction, but I think they take a step back this year. They've had some weird ownership dynamics where it's unclear of who's the head honcho there. They lost Jurickson Profar. They lost some really important guys, and I see them certainly taking a step back. So last couple segments I want to get into before we close. We kind of touched on a few of these. So I'm going to just do rapid fire. You can't give me anything more than just a fill in the blank. The most excited you've been for a Giants season since?
Since I'd say 2021, although that was unexpected since then.
I'd agree. If anything, I might even say 2016, because by 2021, I think I was a little bit tuned out of the Giants and was kind of shocked by the run they made. 5th starter in the Giants rotation should be, I guess we touched on this one.
I think Hayden Birdsong should be.
I think it's going to be Root, but we'll see. Giants will have how many All-Stars in the All-Star game?
I think they will have 3. I think Logan Webb, Chapman, and who I'm really high on this year, Elliot Ramos.
I have 3 as well, but I have Adames taking Ramos' spot, so we're pretty closely aligned there. And then last one, the Giants will finish where in the NL West?
2 or 3. I'll lean 2 for now.
I
We'll
need
come
I
back
need
to this.
a number. You're standing on business. You're saying 2?
2. Yeah,
All
2.
right. All right, I'm going to go third behind the Dodgers and behind Arizona, but I still see them as that last wild card spot. Another segment I wanted to do, I think this is just a staple for any season preview show. Give me one bold prediction for this Giants season.
I think, like I said earlier, I think Elliot Ramos will be an all-star, and that the Giants will get the wild card spots along with the Braves and the Padres, those 2 teams.
I love it. I had them in the playoffs as a wildcard team as one of mine, so I'm not going to use that one. I have Logan Webb winning the Cy Young Award, his first of his career. He's finished second, I believe, once and third once. And I think he's hitting his physical peak. He's in his late 20s. He recently just had a daughter, so if you buy into any of that, the dad strength stuff, I think there's an argument there. And he has maybe the best pitcher of this generation, Justin Verlander, behind him in the staff, giving him notes, giving him feedback. And I think that is kind of one of those intangible things that is going to make a meaningful difference that you won't be able to see on a stat sheet or on a game-by-game basis. But I think having a veteran and having someone who's been at the peak of his career, I think Justin Verlander has 3 Cy Youngs, maybe 2, will be just invaluable to Logan Webb's final affinity stone of his development. So in honor of spring training, let's close. I want you to give me your favorite Giants memory ever. It could be over the TV, it could be over the radio, you could be in person at a game. What's your favorite?
The one that will always stick with me is watching Tim Lincecum's no-hitter in San Diego.
Were you there in person?
I was there in person.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's crazy because Tim Lincecum is my favorite sports athlete ever. Just playing Little League, just always try to mimic his wind up. And
did you wear 55?
I didn't wear 55, but he was the best pitcher in the league when he won those 2 Cy Young awards. And he carried that Giants team. They gave him no run support in those years before they end up winning the chips and whatever that was. But we were in San Diego at the time with my dad and my younger brother. We were staying down there. We went to the first 2 games of the series, and we didn't have tickets for the last game, and we realized Tim Lincecum was starting. In that game, I'm obviously like, Dad, can we go to the game? And he's like, all right, sure, we'll go to the game. I remember very clearly, it was like third inning, he was still dealing, but it's the 3rd inning and allowed no hits. And I told my dad and my younger brother, Caden, he's throwing a no-hitter tonight. Kind of half joking, but like serious at the same time. Like,
as anyone
he's
does,
got it tonight.
4 innings into it. Yeah, sure.
Exactly. But I remember I was walking around the stadium in the 6th inning, and I was in the outfield when Hunter Pence saved the game with his diving catch out there. That's a moment I'll remember forever. There's a Padres fan behind me. He's just like hands on his head, just like dejected. He grabbed his stuff and just left because it was a blowout at that time. But just remember him throwing 140, 48, 47 pitches, and just being there in that moment was one of the coolest things ever.
That's awesome. Was that his first no-hitter?
That was his first no-hitter in San Diego.
Incredible. That's awesome. My favorite is also a game I went to. I feel like that's just, where the best memories are made. It was in 2014. It was in the NLCS against the Cardinals. I think most Giants fans listening to this know where I'm going. Game 5, we were down 2-1 at the time. Michael Morse hits a home run to take the lead up 2-2. I should also preface this with saying I was sitting in standing room only with my dad. My little brothers found out about the fact that I was at the game. We're super jealous. My mom gets in the car. It's like 30 minutes before first pitch, grabs them, takes them to the game. They find upper deck seats. We're all at the game at different locations. And yeah, Giants are tie game heading into the 9th. Travis Ishikawa's up. I want to say there's a man on first and second base. And he hits, in my opinion, the biggest home run in Giants history, a walk-off home run to send the Giants to the World Series against the Royals, where, we know how that went. They ended up winning in 7. And it was just a surreal game. A guy like Travis Ishikawa, who was constantly on the verge of teetering in and off the roster, spending a lot of time in the minors, super cool for a guy like that to have that moment. What's better in sports than a walk-off home run? I mean, a game-winning buzzer beater in basketball is probably comparable. maybe a Hail Mary in football, but you really don't see those that often. To see it on that stage with everything riding on them. I mean, if they lose that game, they have one more in San Francisco, then they're heading back to St. Louis, and who knows what happens. So yeah, that's mine. I love Travis Ishikawa. End of that era to win 3 and 5 is something we may never see as Giants fans again. Baseball fans alone may never see that again with how competitive teams are these days. I'll always remember and have lots of love in my heart for Travis Ishikawa and that 2014 Giants team.
It's so fitting for a Giants team in that era to have a guy like Ishikawa just come through in the biggest of situations. That's just embodiment of the misfits of those.
It was like the Cody Rosses, the Pat Burrells, the Travis Ishikawas. It was never like Dodgers might go back to back. They have a 105 win total over under, but you're not going to get the same. You have Mookie Betts, you have Shohei Ohtani, you have Freddie Freeman, you have 7 all-star starters that are going to somehow figure out a way to pitch in a 5-man rotation. Like, you're not going to have that chemistry and just this plucky underdog story that the Giants were. And credit to them, they're willing to spend every dollar that they make on their roster, but you will not have the aura of the early 2010 San Francisco Giants as hard as you try.
Dude, exactly. It is more satisfying to see a team like that, like those teams, 2010, 12, and 14, just win it all. Never had like the top tier talent in the league at that point. I mean, Baumgartner in 14 was just on another planet, for example. I wouldn't get the same satisfaction. Like in terms of the Warriors in 17, 18, like I love those teams, love Durant. Like I was a massive fan. Some of the best basketball ever. The title in 15 for the Warriors and 22 as well were just, I think those are more satisfying.
Absolutely. They hit way harder. I mean, in that Celtics series down 2-1, everyone thinking that they were kind of down and out for the count. Celtics are the younger, they're the more talented team. Steph's washed, and he was night-nighting in the third quarter and ring meing in game 6. So we saw how that went down. But this was awesome, Austin. We're certainly going to do this again. I got to run. Let's have you on come Dubs playoffs, come early season preview for the Giants. Let's make this happen.
100%. Thank you so much for having me on. I had such a great time talking with you and just linking up with you again. Excited to talk ball for these next few months in particular heading into the playoffs.
Let's do it, man. Go Dubs. Go Giants. Happy opening day. I hope your bracket's still semi-intact, unlike mine. And we'll talk soon.
Will do, Garrett. Hope you have a great rest of your day.
You too, man. Take care. All right. Now, if you made it to the end of the episode, I want to say thank you. If you don't mind subscribing and maybe even dropping a like, you'll become my new best friend. I produce these Bay Area sports podcasts twice a week, and I'm looking to grow my audience as much as I can. You can find the audio version of the podcast on Spotify or Apple Pods at the Bay Area Beat, and on YouTube at Bay Area Beat. You can also find short clips on all socials under the same name. Thanks again for listening. Catch you all next week.